Glenfiddich 15, yeah.
On a calm day like this, get the most glorious reflections of the mountains, as you can see. Composition to have the form of the block. Had to work with an umbrella even today because the weather's so unstable. The tree should be coming about here, the other side of the painting. Had to work with an umbrella even today because the weather's so unstable. Anyhow, we're off this morning, and look at the beautiful morning it is. Mirrored along. Been a wonderful stay. Hi, well here we are in the Northern Lakes, Cumbria, at Ullswater. We're going to do a couple of paintings here. We've only got a few days and the weather's been pretty abysmal, but the first day was nice and I managed to get some nice shots, and it's shown the diversity of light and colour that can be found here in early summer on this beautiful lake. Thank you very much. Yep. Here we are on the Eden. Lovely little river, but unfortunately it's very cold and it rained last night, so the water's up. I don't think much of our chances today, really, unfortunately, but we'll give it a little go for an hour or so and just see what happens. Just fishing this rather nice pool and saw what I thought was a rise, and then two big otters came up, so it wasn't a rise at all, it was an otter's halt just down here. Interesting little corner here, took a bit of shelter, a little break, and I found these very old writings inscribed into the walls here, 1816, and George Thompson, Matherton. Let's see what else we got. Well, we've got a small grayling, which is nice. You see the small grayling here. You see there's only a small one. It's now back in the water. He's going to swim away, look. Just there. Here we go. Help him away. And what a beautiful spot to be. This lovely deep pool. And at the back of the pool, I've just noticed some grayling coming in, rising. So we'll try a fly over them, and if that doesn't work we'll move to a dry fly. Now we've got a lovely fish on here. This lovely pool, as you can see just down in front of me. I've got a nice fish, about £2. Beautiful, you can see that. It's a lovely fish. I think it's a brown trout. It could be a grayling, but no, it's a nice big brown trout, about £2. Just coming up to the top now. Prepare for it. It's just about worn out. Get my net ready. Here he comes. Lovely fish. Just going to get him over those rocks. There he comes now. So if it doesn't come off at this stage. Giving a good fight of it. There we go. Now into the net. Got a very light line on. Certainly giving a good account of itself. Here we go into the net now. No, not quite. Yes. Oh, what a beautiful fish that is. Look at that. Good £2, £2.5, maybe nearly £3 that fish. Beautiful, beautiful fish. Well, there we are. Lovely brown trout. The wild brownie from this river. On the fly it's caught on is a little gold head nymph here, look. Take a close up of that. His head and you'll see. Here we are with a lovely nice 2.5, maybe just about £3. Lovely fish. Nicest brown trout I've had for a long, long time. Really surprising. Just at the tail end of that pool that we had the trout just now. And we're working our way down a few little waterfalls before we go back. And here we are back at that spot. But it was such bad weather before. Where those very early carvings are, dated 1816, in the stonework here, in the natural cliff. By the river. Let's have a look, go at this spot. It looks really nice. Just over by that tree over there. You don't get much nicer places to fish than this, do you? Well, you just never know. I'm into another nice fish here in between these branches. It's rather a long way away, that's going to be difficult to get at this time. Well, weather's looking a bit the worst now, but fish were rising for dry fly. I tried it, didn't get a touch, so I'm working my way back now. Well, we just tried a bit of dry fly, a little Greenwald's Glory on there, because it's a beautiful spot, but nothing rising at the moment. It's nice to see little fish like this that are fine, new stock, small par. As you see, a very small fish, but it's good to see that these wild fish are breeding. And you see here the otter footprints as well, so I'm not the only fisherman around. Ready to get one then? Here we are, the same view in summer.
There, one cream tea fruit. Yeah?
Naughty cream tea, yeah.
Oh, hang on, I'm saying that. What if he's just done some? I've got a feeling he's just done some. Right, I'll put you down for that anyway. Is that it?
Go for it. You're a very naughty girl, you know that, don't you? What are you doing, dog?
Waiting for a bit of bun. Oh, did you warm, especially
My
me?
sausage sandwich.
Oh, just stuffed with fruit. I don't know if I want the butcher as well. Seems a bit indulgent.
Lucky eater.
Oh.
The dog's waiting for the bits.
Sheep again.
Yeah.
Take a shot of how it is now, what the composition is, the composition I'm going to use. Just in case the weather changes, I have to paint later. Then I'm going to make a little frame with my fingers, try and fit this canvas in. Is that to there? That one down. Check the angles so the lakes want to be. Midges are going to get me here. Don't think about midge repellent here. So 1, 2, 3, 3/4 about there. Up and over there. As soon as we get the basics, we can start painting colour in because we've really got to move fast. It's one of those days where the light's changing fast, there's lots of cloud, and I don't know about pushing colour today, but we're certainly going to have to push the speed of things. All these tangled branches that we'll try and get in. Across here, and right through, there's that lovely wall coming up there, all the way through to the tree here. Okay, I want a fairly warm, with a little touch of the mauve here, just to get these colours going. Really. Seems too dark at the moment, but it'll lighten up in a minute. I get the other darker colours against it. Let's see if we can really find some colour. I want to be a lot cooler in the yellows now, so I'll take some lemon, work across with that. Blue coming in there. I'm quite sure it got into there, so it's on my white. Damn it. Try and find a bit of colour there. I'll slap some colour into here now. Let's make some nice warm greys. Bit of cerulean and some white. And we'll go for a warmer grey. The hills behind are going to be a lot darker in a minute, so I can look into that in just a moment. Silver grey going on here. A bit more warmth into that. Really look for these colours. See if we can bring them out. To establish this, we'll be on the way. Get these mountains and some of these pinks as well that are going on down there. Cover the canvas as fast as you can. Nice big brush strokes. Find these colours. And now these pinky blues coming in, actually into the mountain here. I'm going to come back and put some darks in there in just a moment. I'll start finding the mountains. A bit more blue. Into the clouds. Start to mix some of these greys. It isn't until we get these darker colours in that we start to see the forms, tones, get them right. Bluer in the distance. And here, oh God, far too strong. Till we get enough colour on, it's hard to see. Wood for trees, they say, it's hard to see the colours correctly. The blue coming in the top here. Bit warmer there, a little more touch of this layering going on. Now we want to be a little bit deeper into those purples. Oh, not that bloody deep. Many colours going on in the sky that get carried away there a moment. It's a little bit warmer. Oh, bloody blue's got into it again. I've got some blue on my white and it keeps getting into it. Right, I think we've about got this sort of moody sky that I was after, so let's move on. Make things a bit warmer in places, isn't it? A little bit more blue going on. The sky just here. Just a hint of sky breaking through. Right, down brushes, smaller, slightly smaller one. Let's start to look at the horizon. Got those very deep. God. A bit more blue into there. So ultramarine now, a bit of ultramarine, a bit of burnt sienna. Let's see what we can get for these distant hills. Coming all the way down here. Actually, if they're lower down. I'm going to have to come back and adjust that. No good. If something's wrong, you've got to get it right. When it comes there, and then there's that touch of blue going on. Why it isn't coming out as blue? Here. Now back to that dark again. Some of these colours take a bit of working out at first. Not nearly as dark as that. It's a lot darker up here though. It's more like it just there. These doubly darks in where the mountains are just showing through a bit of the mountain. These clouds just indicate those there. Itchy's getting up my nose, as if they're coming through the mountains, through the clouds there. Mixture of ultramarine, a little bit of rose and a touch of chrome yellow now to start to get these darker greens that are shadowed across here. again we're going to go for very loose impressionism and just work this thing up fast to get our feeling of all of this before the light changes, then make changes as we go on. And now we'll just tint some of the warmth into the background and just start to feel some of these slightly darker and lighter greens coming in. Some of them much lighter. Feel the light shining across the mountains. Hear the rain coming in behind me. I've got to try and get colour onto this canvas so it's not going to take. As fast as I can. Up here, that nice knobbly bit that sticks out there. I've really got to get some colour on quickly. Come back into that in a moment. I get the feeling of this coming through the cloud. Warm, cool greens. Feel these craggy bits of rock that are showing through the grasses. Coming down into here. And then down the bottom here we can start to indicate these trees a bit more. So the light's constantly changing, so we've got a constant battle here to balance things out. Now that's gone very dark against this. So the light's constantly changing and I've got to adjust this to suit. Light of that water coming in behind there. Very, very light pink there. Could do with some sunlight, would have been lovely today because it would have been beautiful reflections of light over here. As it is, I've got this huge amount of rain coming across right now. You can see it speckling my canvas, so I'm working against it here. Slap some colour on here, get things going. So not any other choice today. It's a kill or cure job today. Now I've really got to work into this, so let's get the warmer greens going here in the foreground. And the sun's coming through a little bit up there, so we're constantly changing light, which won't stop us. We've got to keep going, texturing and grasses and things down here. Let's get the rest of those greens in there, a bit warmer. Right, let's look at this tree here. We need to work up some darks behind there. We'll put the lights on the top. Big brush strokes, get in there, go for it. really find some colours. I haven't got time to pussyfoot about. I've really got to get into this painting. It's amazing how the light can change so fast. And it changes all the values. You've really got to get in there. Changing so much with this rain and drizzle. Very hard to Well, this is where we've got to at the moment. The weather's still coming down pretty roughly. We've still got a lot of changes, but it's rather beautiful. So I'm still working on it. Well, the other camera got so wet today that it's not going to work. So what you can see I'm doing here is just building up some of the lighter colours, trying to get the feeling of the evening light. Still working up these sunlit pieces of the evening. So got quite a bit more detail now. You see the light still shining across, changing constantly, and we're trying to pick up on it. Well, there we are. We're actually about there now. Well, not perhaps as bright and colourful as I would have liked, but as long as it captures what I'm doing. There we go, that'll do it for the study. The case, I've decided to work on this painting a little bit more after the scene because I wasn't quite happy with the effects. Taking some photographs at the time, always do that, remember, because you know, you might need to back up as I have here. And I'm going to work on the foreground. The background I think is okay. I want a bit more definition of texture and the different greens around these areas here to lead the eye in. I feel that this area is not quite working somewhere here. Okay, so far I've enhanced these darks, and now I want to look at some of those warms that were happening behind there. I'm going to bring a lot more warmth into the foreground here in a minute, and just see about some of those lighter little bits of cream that were just shining through. Now, let's look at the sunlight that's just coming over the tops of these trees and see if we can just brighten that up just a bit. Over here. We've really got some nice bits of light coming across, which will then hopefully make the fields go back a little bit as well. It's after all summer, so we want to try and get the feeling of this summer light. So I found more complicated painting than it at first looks. Really strong colours here in the foreground, these greens. I can really push them now because I haven't got to worry about the rain coming onto them or anything. I can really get the sunlight going and give it a richness that it didn't have quite before. And this might just give enough for the eye to look at the foreground in more detail. Normally we go back from warm to cooler to cooler to cooler, and from in focus and gradually more out of focus as things go away from us, which is just picking up on these rocks a little bit here now. Assuming this area is working reasonably well now, so we can probably leave it alone. There's a few more strokes here and there, but it's over to the left, the tree that still isn't quite working right. As near as we're going to get, I think, yep. There we are then, we'll leave it at that for the moment. chance I'm going to get to do a painting on plein air here this time, this trip round. And having got those cooler greens, you need some blues amongst them. don't think we're going to do a lot more because the weather's suddenly getting worse now. I'm going to have to make a run for it. Look at this grass here a little bit. But I hope it's captured the mood of the morning, which is all we're trying to do. For a quick study. Is take a whole series of photographs which we can use later for studio work, and also try and do an oil out in plein air and a pastel and a watercolour. Now on the third of them, it's our last day, and it's the pastel. We've done the oil up on the mountainside with a quick watercolour about an hour ago, just to show you what can be done in these conditions, and now I'm about to do a pastel as well. As I say, in these conditions we have to work very quickly, so my techniques of that I've shown you are working very loosely in watercolour, and now we're going to work very loosely with the pastel. I've got to work fairly quickly because the light's always changing, plus we've got the rain in the offing as normal here in the Lake District. Let's see if we can work out a composition quickly. We want about half working. Here now, it's very dark, sky coming down into it. There's more blues and mauves. Now I've got the basic pastel on, I can afford to blend into it. But remember, with pastel it's our final coats that count, so at the moment it's rather dead. But hopefully as I add more colour it will liven up and these colours can reflect nicely. Across to get the thing in. These midges are going to be murder. In the background there we've got lovely purple hills going on. Let's have a look now. That's where we are again. I'm losing my mind with these midges. I have mountains coming in there softly. I'm coming up here. Come down there, there's this lovely deeper green. We can already establish light against dark a bit. All the way across here. Blues coming down there. feeling of distant cools and these hills here as well. Really play with these colours, try and find them. And the greens that are coming across with the sunshine just catching top of the hills over here. There's a lot of more colour going on in here than you at first think. Lights against our darks. Put the boats in yet. We'll get a bit more of the background done. To indicate this. Boy, just get my colour sorted out. Now, let's start to look at a few boats, try and start to get bits of boats in. The trouble with boats is the drawing. You have to draw boats fairly well, unfortunately. Let's get that one in there. Just block him in at first. The boat's moving a bit, so what changes I'm doing this a little bit. It's irritating, but not impossible. Just indicate the sails, not in too much detail on the mast. Once we've got that in, then we know that we've got little reflections to do. There we are, we've got him sitting on top of the water now. And while we're at it with that blue, there's more of that blue coming in across the water in places. Go back to the background a moment. Yellow in the background. This is also coming under the boat a little bit here too. And under that. There's another boat just behind there. Some colour into here. Now let's go back to the next boat. There's two here, one just there and one just here. Just indicate with colours. If we just put the right colours in the right places and the right shapes, hopefully these boats will just appear. And across here, got another two boats. They're all changing shape all the time because they're moving around. That's that one there, and we've got a slight pinky colour there, I think. And that boat underneath there, catching the light. Got it in my hand, we'll look at it here too. The water's coming across there is quite pink. As it turns into us, we're getting a change again in the design of it. So maybe I'll have to wait for it to go back in a moment. A few marks, we should be able to make it look like a boat. Try and put the right colours in the right places and the thing should start to appear. A bit of rain coming on my pastels again, but that will dry out later. So, you see how quickly it can come together. Now, let's start looking at a bit of the foreground more. Coming down in front of us here, we've got leaves. So coming into the composition, right down to there. To help frame the picture, bring the eye in. And same going on. These leaves going right up through, right up here. These bits of rock are reflecting shadows into the water as well, into the ripples. Let's really get into him with some of these deep browns and bring that forward, bring the whole composition forward by using these warmer colours in the foreground. it's going to be that dark there, then he's going to be reflected on the water, that wet surface there, which shows that he's off the ground. And coming round here, there's some rather delightful foamy stuff. And some yellow ochres around there. And suddenly the picture's becoming alive. So pebble that are dark against the light. Twist the pastel, put these little bits of dark in. Do keep working the occasional vertical in to keep the feeling of reflections going. Even if they're short strokes as well. Feel these ripples in the water. People say you should always do the water with horizontals, but that's ridiculous. We need to be able to get the verticals in of the reflections, and then the horizontals go in afterwards. And look at the effect we get. Surprising where these colours are and how strong they are. There's bits of orange or warm into places like that. It's going to help bring out cools around them. Even a bit of cadmium red on the log. And again, I can show you how quickly this can be built up. I've made a picture in a matter of minutes here. And luckily the weather's held. Quite surprised. And these much darker warms will push those cools back in the background again. You see how that brings it forward. Now all we need is a little more in the way of ripples. And it's just starting to rain a bit again, so I'm going to have to pack up anyway. Probably isn't a bad thing, because it'll stop me fiddling too much. Let's call it a day on this one, shall we? Let's tidy up. Well, this is such a lovely scene, it seems a shame not to make the most of it. Well, the weather's just good enough to have a second go with a watercolour. And we'll see what we can do with that as our last painting of this little trip. So let's try the same composition, but this time in watercolour. Not going to draw it out, no time for that. The weather's so changeable. We'll just get straight in with the painting. Just mark out very lightly with a thin down paint as to where the composition's going. So if you like, it could be called a very basic drawing, but it will only be a very basic. Just so I know I'm going to put my colours. That is in there, something in the water. It's nice to just get the water from the loch side, from the lake side. Let's get it there. Right, just what we can do with that then. I think we'll go straight for the sky as usual. And we'll go back to the same sorts of colours as you were using last time. We'll give it a thin yellow ochre wash first. Using a rough 300 this time. So it's a lot rougher paper, which will give me room for more texture in the water. I don't want texture in the sky. right down and through into the hills here. And we'll soak that paper thoroughly. And then don't want that trittle there. Right, we'll start to feel the holes of the boat. Just a nice turquoise one here for a start. A bit sharper there though, so I'm going to have to come back in a minute and sharpen that one up just to get the basics in. As I said before, just try and put the right colours in the right places and the right shapes, and things should just appear. Now that old log we did earlier that's on the beach here, just bring that in. There's a rock coming out there. I need to come back with a little bit of white gouache, just put a bit of white back into some of these spots where I've lost them in having to paint without drawing. And just pull together a little bit more. And it doesn't need much more of a sparkle than that. That's enough. Stop fiddling.